My name is Albert Salamanca. I'm a Senior Research Fellow at the Stockholm Environment Institute based in Bangkok, Thailand. The key takeaways are the following. So first is that we really need to work hard to make sure that national adaptation plans are pursued in a human rights way. In other words, using a human rights lens to design the assessment, to involve the different stakeholders, to design the interventions, and to prepare the communities. Because without that, we actually risk having national adaptation plans that do not speak to the needs of vulnerable groups and communities. So that's one. Another is that I think we really need to be much more ambitious with regards to how we implement adaptation, because right now everything is still at the planning stage. We really need to get to implementation to really ensure that the needs of those vulnerable groups and communities are addressed before things are really quite critical. I think it's really important because in the preamble of the Paris Agreement, human rights is enshrined. It speaks about the rights of indigenous peoples, the right to health, and other kinds of rights, and also as well as the obligations of states on those rights. So the report highlighted that despite the presence of those rights in the preamble and the presence of other rights in the text of the agreement, nothing really much has happened with regards to how the NAPs are being designed. So in other words, human rights principles are rarely being used as a basis for the planning and of national adaptation plans. So if that is the case with the planning, how much more possibly with implementation? So we need to really ensure that the rights of the vulnerable groups are promoted, fulfilled, and respected in the implementation of the national adaptation plans. So in terms of the implementation of national adaptation plan, I'm hoping that the report is a wake-up call to NAP planners, to other stakeholders of the Paris Agreement, and those who are really affected and who wanted to ensure that their rights will be protected. So that report should be a reminder for them of the work that's needed to be done to ensure that human rights will really become a central element of the NAP process. And for me, I'm really hoping that at least indigenous peoples, the elderly, LGBTQI communities, people with disabilities, women, girls are really involved in formulating the NAPs. Because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be about them because they are vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. So their voices should be heard in planning the NAPs.